Hello mouses! If I appear a bit brighter and more like I'm filming in daytime on this video compared to other ones we've had in the past, then the reason is that we've got a new lighting system for the studio and we're going to be using that across all the videos, including everything on this channel, my other channel, and also to improve the lighting on Jennifer's channel when we're doing train videos and things like that. But that's not really what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about is in two parts. The first part is, of course, Syria. We've got a big debate coming up in Parliament about what military force we're going to use, if any, on Syria in response to its use of chemical weapons. And this seems to have sparked a massive debate on what powers the Prime Minister has on his own to use military force against another country, and to what extent, if any, we should be limiting those powers and providing that Parliament is the body that can actually declare war and things like that. Now, what is interesting is this isn't the first time it's been discussed in the last 20 years. We've had some debates under the previous Labour government on, especially after Iraq, on whether the Prime Minister's powers should be curtailed. But it's interesting that it's not actually the Prime Minister who has those powers. The Prime Minister declares war on behalf of the Queen, but the Queen doesn't have to consent to this. She can decide that they can't go to war. Of course, you know, it's called royal prerogative. She can declare war, she can declare peace, she can sign treaties. Most of the time what actually happens is the Prime Minister signs on her behalf. He acts on her behalf, which effectively means that the elected, unelected head of the British government acts on behalf of the wholly unelected head of the British government. It's a bit weird, but what actually is happening here is we're not going to declare a war in Syria. We're not going to be anywhere near that. What's going to happen is Parliament's going to discuss what force, if any, is necessary and legitimate under the circumstances. We're going to have to do something. It's obvious we're going to have to do something because at the moment the situation is terrible. But it's not going to be a state of war. We're not fighting them like we went into Iraq to fight them, which, by the way, was another time when the Prime Minister just declared war. And that's really the root of all the problems that we have at the moment. The Prime Minister did declare war unilaterally, based on evidence that dodgy. So it's very interesting. It's an odd situation. I'm going to wait until the debate in Parliament is over, and I'm going to be watching it with interest before I actually comment more on Syria, because a lot of information is patchy at the moment, and if you try and get anything and piece it together off the internet, it's going to be a bit weird because everyone has their own agenda, everyone's pushing this, that and the other, and not all of the information is available. So I'm going to wait until the parliamentary debate and see what we have from that. But I want to say one more thing about Syria. It's interesting that at the moment people are saying that our response has to be legitimate, and that appears to be legitimate according to international law, which is really, really odd, because international law isn't what people think of when they say international law. So you have laws, and they are mostly clear, concise, well, not always concise, but mostly clear, and they tell you what you can and can't do. That's pretty good. You want to know what you can do legally, and you want to know what your rights are legally. International law is not like that. International law is a set of agreements that some countries have that sometimes they stick to and sometimes they don't. So the idea of legitimacy under international law is an odd one. It's almost oxymoronic, but not quite. It's very, very patchy, and you can pretty much justify almost everything that you want to do. So when people say we have to be legitimate according to international law, what we're actually saying is we want to be legitimate compared to what my view of what international law is should be, which isn't exactly the same thing. And again, we need more clarity, so it's a patchy and difficult situation. So we have to wait and see what happens, and I suggest that you watch the debates just like I will be doing and see what you think, and then we'll talk about it once that's over with. Okay, the only other thing I want to talk about today is the fact that for the last few days I've been at Manchester Pride, and it's been a lot of good fun. It was started late on Friday and ended on Monday. I was there for Saturday and Sunday. We went on the march on Saturday with the big Pride parade through Manchester, and it was great. It was fantastic. The atmosphere was amazing. We had a good time, and lots of people cheered us, which was great because we've been doing a lot of good work, and it was great to see so many organisations, not all of them gay, lesbian, bisexual or transgender, not all of them really something that you would expect to be there going, yes, we're for Pride, but of course they are, because it is just decency and human rights that we're wanting, and that's great. So it was a good celebration, and the only thing I would say is the Labour group were a bit annoying, to be honest. I was there with the Conservatives, and of course there's going to be a bit of animosity. I was expecting a bit of good-natured japing, but they decided to throw balls at us on Sunday, and we got hit by a fair few of them. It wasn't very nice. I've got one now. I took it with me because they effectively threw us free things. And then later on they threw boiled sweets at us. It was all bloody childish, really. But aside from that, bringing the proceedings down a bit, it was a very good event. It's met a lot of good people, and it's been very good. So I would recommend, if you have a chance, go to Pride. It's great. You meet a lot of good people, and it's good fun. Just try not to get hit by things. Okay, that's all I want to say for today. So thank you very much for watching. If you did like this, remember to click the like button, share it with your friends so that they can see what's been going on in the world as well. And do subscribe for future videos, because there will be more in the future. But until tomorrow, I've been Kirk-Robinson. You've been watching the Knob Mouse channel. I'll see you next time.